Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Happy birthday to you.
Finally, someone says it.
It's not even your birthday. Happy birthday to our brother Dan.
Yep, I'll take that as well.
Happy birthday to anybody celebrating a birthday tonight, tomorrow, whatever.
You sound like a club DJ. Being like, yo, shout out to everybody having a birthday tonight. You know, like, put them in the middle of the circle, point them out, point them out, point them out, point them out.
Leo season.
Yeah, Leo season.
No, listen, I sound sincere.
Cancer season.
I'm very happy for you being born today or whenever this is being played.
Yep.
And I'm happy to celebrate you, and I wish you and Dan and whoever else
Shiv
is
Peter Rosenberg,
all of them who are celebrating birthdays tonight, tomorrow, whenever, a great year ahead. So
thank you.
Happy birthday. Jeff, the birthday month has been off to a good start, I'd say.
Birthday month?
Well,
like I'm trying to celebrate the whole month?
This is what people do now. I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. I honestly,
yes,
this year, like we've always had big birthdays, Dan and I, because there's two of us, and you know the whole thing has always been like
a lot of friends, a lot of celebration,
a lot of,
right? A lot of cakes,
yeah, 2 cakes, 1 chocolate, 1 vanilla, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I was like, you want to know what? I don't really feel like doing that. I feel like having like a quiet.
You're not going to celebrate with Dan.
Yeah, just solo birthday.
Yeah.
But then we got to today.
Yeah.
My actual birthday is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
I did notice this today.
I'm like organizing.
I saw some texts.
Organizing a birthday thing.
I didn't realize it was such a last minute affair, but guess it is.
Yeah, and like I'm actually putting work into this thing that I really did not care about. But then it's like, I guess maybe I am a Leo, and that's like a thing where I just need attention.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I didn't get my invite.
That's true.
So
that is true. I've only included you on group texts and sent it. You've been a part of those, but I guess I didn't personally. I hate when people get mad that they weren't personally invited to something. When it's like there's the internet at large, like you were invited.
Well,
I'm sorry you didn't get your special owl delivered invitation.
Wait, is this?
But you're invited. This
again,
isn't about just
okay.
You,
it's not directly to me.
Although I am looking at you and pointing at you.
This is to the world.
I could see why you would think.
This is to the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've not been invited to a lot of things, and I don't know that you necessarily.
No, don't make that the birthday message
personal.
Yeah.
You know.
Poor us. We haven't been invited to the Dreamville sessions.
Well, we were. We did see J. Cole the other day, and that was nice.
Yeah,
that was nice.
He didn't wish me a happy birthday.
No. Should we have him call in?
Yeah, call in.
Before we go any further, I do want to thank every person who was a part of a big shopping spree around here. We sold our entire inventory of rhyme books and mean mugs. So shout out to everyone who bought one.
But now we have to figure out what to do next.
Yeah, that is the question.
Why am I talking like E40? But now we have to talk about what to do next.
Shake them dreads.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Do you?
I sort of want to do the Supreme thing.
Because hold on. You can't do more mugs when you've already like hit the apex of mugs.
We already killed the mug thing.
Like, how are we going to do a better notebook than rhyme book? It's like it's not just like restock them. It's like, no, do something better.
Do something different.
So what is that?
Well, I was saying before, I was very rudely interrupted. On my birthday, no less.
Well, it's not technically your birthday yet.
Well, feels like my
birthday. Is it birthday month?
I don't know. You already wished me a happy birthday. Can't take it back.
Yeah.
I feel like we should do like what Supreme does, where they just put their name on anything and people will buy it. And so it's like, I don't know, like let's do like a fire extinguisher. Let's do like an axe.
Let's do a wrench.
A wrench.
How about a wrench?
We're going to do a wrench.
And it's the real wrench. Can we do a collaboration?
There's no like pun to it. There's no thought behind it. It's just a wrench. Oh, you want to do a collab?
Well, hold on. Wait. Let's talk this through. What is the pun behind the fire extinguisher?
Hot Boy Summer. By the way,
no.
Let me take that back because I hate this entire thing.
You just said it.
I hate this entire thing.
Just like the birthday thing. You said it. You can't take it back.
I said it, then I forget it. I hate Hot Boy Summer so much.
Yeah.
I hate Hot Girl Summer at this point because it's been done to death.
Right.
I hate being asked if it's a Hot Boy Summer. I hate being told that the boys are up.
Right. Okay. So, given that
this joke is dead, but bury it for my birthday.
Do you think
yes
that there is a shorter shelf life for these puns than there has been before? Because that's the sense that I get. You know, I wanted to make a joke recently for a song idea, and you said, no, that's over.
Yes.
And then you said...
I said the same thing about a week later, and I was like, this is a funny idea for...
Right. For a collaboration.
But obviously, everything is funny when I say it, and then when anybody else says it, then it's terrible.
That is the birthday month privilege. So if we're going to do a collaboration with someone, it has to do... Wrench? Well, no. It has to do something with something that we find funny.
Who would we even do a wrench collaboration with?
Snap-on.
Why do you have that on the top of your head?
Because I'm very into car restorations, as you know.
I can't believe...
Having lived in New York City for the last 12 years.
I cannot... you don't have a car. I cannot believe that you have Snap-on.
Yeah.
Our new sponsor.
Yeah. Shout out to Snap-on.
Shout out to Snap-on.
Best...
Go follow them. Snap-on on Instagram. Snap-on on Twitter.
And hashtag Snap-on ItsTheReal.
Yeah.
Wait, I figured it out.
Thank God.
For everyone who's been waiting.
I've been waiting this entire time.
Wrench in the system. All right? We are tech disruptors, Jeff. We are podcast disruptors. Happy birthday.
Yeah, you figured
Wrench
it out.
Wrench in the system.
What does that have to do with us?
Again, Jeff.
Oh, we're tech disruptors.
It's like you don't listen.
I said it. No, you said it, then I forget it.
Wrench in the system.
I don't think we figured anything
Now the
out.
wheels are turning.
Okay.
Since all the lug nuts are in place.
Yeah.
The wheels are turning.
Oh my God. These
Wrench
puns,
in the system.
I asked for a pun. You've given
happy birthday, Jeff.
Mediocre.
Happy birthday, Dan. Happy birthday, Shiv. Happy birthday, Peter Rosenberg. Happy birthday to everybody. It's Leo season. Jeff, who's on the podcast today?
DJ EFN is on the podcast today.
DJ EFN, who a lot of you know as half of the Drink Champs podcast based out of Miami, Florida, but his story is way bigger than just one podcast.
Mas Grande.
He is... he's actually not even a Miami native, which is interesting. He's born in Los Angeles.
You heard it here first.
Maybe people did hear it here first.
Yeah.
But he's a very big part of Miami hip hop. You've heard a lot of Miami legends' names: Pitbull, Rick Ross,
Flo Rida,
Smitty, Uncle Luke, certainly, Ted Lucas. But
it is crazy that we said Uncle Luke like fifth. Uncle Luke should be number one.
DJ EFN is somebody whose story is very underrated. He's thrown parties. He has DJ'd. He's shipped mixtapes around. He's recorded albums. He has championed artist after artist and really helped shape the culture of hip-hop down in Miami, and that importance should be documented, and I'm so glad that we got to sit down with him here today.
Also, I hope that one day we get to go back down to Miami and get some Cuban food with him.
And I hope that we can also be on Drink Champs as N.O.R.E originally promised. By the way, there's a lot of N.O.R.E talk on this, how important N.O.R.E is as a brother to EFN, how important N.O.R.E is to their podcast, certainly, and how important N.O.R.E is to... ItsTheReal, because as we mentioned later on, he did do a sketch with us back in the day when we were doing these videos on YouTube, and then when we brought it up to him again a couple of years ago, he said, your invite has been revoked, and now I don't know why.
So you're saying that he wrenched it away from us.
I did.
And that is the pun
and
that we've been looking for.
He is a disruptor to us being on his podcast.
All right, before we get into this, let's talk about 3 episodes. I think that if you like this one, you'll also like episode number 76 with Young Sav and Steve-O.
Shout out to our guys, Young Sav and Steve-O. Young Sav, you may know from his work with MMG and over at Def Jam, and most recently with the success of Flip Dinero. And our guy, Steve-O Carlos, who was Nipsey Hussle's best friend and manager, and behind the success of YG, and an executive at places like Atlantic Records and Def Jam, and worked with Jeezy, and most recently was the A&R executive for the Lion King soundtrack, which is a big fucking deal. Those guys started in a closet at Def Jam and are now running this business. Shout out to our great friends, Young Sav and Steve-O.
Episode number 97 with DJ Bobby Trends.
One of Jeff's favorite episodes, Bobby Trends, the Hot 97 DJ, club DJ, just great guy, came over, told his entire journey, which included, most fascinatingly, that he grew up and was best friends from middle school on with AJ Calloway from 106 and Park. They would have sleepovers, and then as they got older, they came and promoted parties in the city, and then later went on to both be famous in their respective fields. But it's just one of those stories that you never expect to come from that guy, and it is well worth it. What a great, great episode, Bobby Trends.
How about number 225? Sorry, I'm debating between like 2 or 3.
Okay.
But I'm going to say number 225 with Denzel Curry.
Shout out to Denzel Curry, our friend from Miami.
Who just cut his hair.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Congratulations to him. We did not talk about that on the podcast, but we did go down to Miami to actually do this interview. And Denzel, who, you know, has had a very, very interesting career for somebody so young. Obviously, his time in Raider Clan, his relationships with the ASAP guys. Most recently, he put out a project that features another really, really dope guy from Florida, Rick Ross. And that project is called Zoo. Go check that out. And before you do, listen to this episode with Denzel Curry. Jeff, when do you want to get into this one?
Right now.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Boo Boo Sailors, a.k.a. Make Some Noise! Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Too Much Dip in My Chip, a.k.a. Poutine Poppy.
That's a good one. Yo, what up? This is actually Eric also.
Oh, shit.
A.k.a. DJ EFN,
Yeah.
a.k.a. E-Funk, a.k.a. Funk, a.k.a. Eric's favorite nanny. Eric, everybody's favorite nanny.
Yeah.
Eric's their favorite person. Eric's everything. Let's go.
Yeah, it's your third favorite podcast to waste your time with It's The Real. Yeah, EFN, what's happening?
What's going on?
Yo, really good to see you. I'm glad that, listen, podcast wars are over and you are...
Podcast.
Yeah. Well, actually, we have somebody waiting in the back.
Yeah.
You have a Sicario back there?
Yeah.
Wait, real quick. The
Yeah.
intro's ill. He warned me about it.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
still caught me off
Oh,
guard.
yeah. Well, the crazy thing is that, so for the last 12 years at this point, we've done AKAs throughout our sketch videos, our music, our live events, all of our podcasts, and this is 260-something episodes in.
Yeah.
We have never repeated an AKA. It's always
it's a
something
new
different.
one.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, we don't do the Drink Champs intro every single
I
time.
know, yeah.
That was just for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we were just talking about the fact that you are the only person who wears headphones on your podcast.
Right.
Do you really need them?
I do. Not for, if you watch, we have the TV version of Drink
Yes,
Champs, so
yeah.
I'm not doing it for that.
Right.
I'm doing it for the podcast version.
Right.
And oftentimes N.O.R.E will either go this way or an artist will move or shift something.
Yes.
And I can't save it every time.
Right.
But when I can, I try to save it.
What's the earliest you guys start drinking?
We usually record shows around 8 p.m.
Okay.
But nowadays we do like a pre-drinking thing. We'll like go somewhere and get there a little nice and then get into the
Then
show.
you're warmed up and ready to
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Right, because you don't drink enough on the show.
Right. I tend to take breaks.
Yeah. What's the drunkest that you've been during recording?
During the PD Crack episode, we did like a little event for it. So I was drinking, and then some dude was giving me like a homemade something, Molly juice he called it, which I should have.
What are you, like a college freshman?
It was crazy. I started talking about crazy shit. I don't know if you listen to that episode. I'm talking about I have something in my backpack I shouldn't have been talking about. I started talking about beef, and then I say excuse me, and I don't even know if I said excuse me. I just walked away and I went to sleep in the next room.
That was it.
Yeah, because we have this thing called cat manning in my crew. It's like if you feel like you want to leave or you're too drunk or something, before you pass out, you just like don't say bye, you just leave, you just escape.
Right.
And I did that on the show live.
Oh my God.
That's sort of worrying, by the way.
Yeah.
Why?
Just like leaving, just like, hey, where did he go? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hope he's okay.
Is he all right?
Yeah.
Do not know.
I'm saving myself.
What is a train of thought that N.O.R.E just totally derailed that you were like, damn it, I wish that we got the answer to that?
Oh man, there's so many times that's happened. I can't think of one specific time. I mean, not even just me. The guest was in a deep thought of something, and N.O.R.E just went off on a tangent of something else. But to me, that's what makes Drink Champs
Yeah.
special.
Oh, for sure.
Those interactions or seeing the guests react to that
Yeah.
is priceless. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Did you anticipate this part of your career? Were you like, you know what? I'm going to do something
Right.
that's maybe left of field. Maybe you thought I'm going to do something with N.O.R.E together. Maybe you thought like, hey, I'm open to whatever comes my way. Did you ever see this becoming the driver for your career?
Not podcasting specifically, But I've always been open from the beginning of when I just started DJing to try different things within the realm of music.
Yeah,
and so
Molly
it's not,
juice.
Yeah.
Molly juice, So it's not surprising that it went to podcast or something that I didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
But and with N.O.R.E as well, because N.O.R.E, early on I was working with N.O.R.E and he did a lot for me early on. So I always said I want to be able to do something, kind of in return of a favor, like if I can ever help out. And I feel like putting together Drink Champs with him and helping, what I do behind the scenes and stuff was me kind of like, fulfilling that obligation that I had in my mind.
Well, I mean, like, and we are going to get into your whole story, but like, what did N.O.R.E do early on for you that like you feel like you're repaying?
Well, being a DJ out of Miami or just doing hip hop out of Miami in the early days was difficult. We didn't have all these guys living like they live there now.
Yeah.
It wasn't the mecca of hip hop.
Right. Scott Storch didn't bring his boat down there.
Right. So we had this small community of hip hop heads that were just trying to make a name for ourselves, and it was difficult. And so I took the route of doing mixtapes. I felt like that was the niche that I could kind of fill in for Miami. And I would go to like conferences and stuff and get drops, and the drops was helping me get my name out there because it's like, oh, this guy from Miami's got cool drops. But then it was the freestyles, Clue, took it to another level, and all these guys, and I couldn't really compete because I didn't have these guys in my area to get access to. So I would get freestyles, but what happened is N.O.R.E, he came to my store. I had a store called Crazy Goods.
Yep.
And this was like 96, 97. And then I don't know if you know Sunday Lives.
Yeah,
promoters of that. Shout out to Phil the Mayor, one of the guys that does that. He, he's always been a promoter. And back then, no internet. You had to go and do in-stores to promote events. N.O.R.E was on a CNN promo run by himself because Pone was locked up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought him to my store to do an in-store to promote the event they were doing. And I had a digital 4-track back then that I would just like give a mic. I'd be like, hey guys, you got to do a freestyle for me. And when they came to the store, and then he started doing a bunch of freestyles, and then he was killing. Like, he did more than one, and then we just like the chemistry was there. I don't know if it's his Puerto Rican side and the Cuban. We just hit it off, and
This is your first time meeting him.
First time meeting him, but
You
it
just
felt like
hand him a microphone.
Yeah, he came to the store. Back then artists were a little bit more open to doing that kind of stuff.
Right,
It was like a part of the culture. You needed to do that.
Yeah, now they just do literally anything else but rapping.
Yeah.
Right. So he did that for me. I mean, he did a bunch that day, and then we just built this connection that lasted years, where he was almost on every mixtape. And and this is at the peak of N.O.R.E's career. This is right before N.O.R.E drops. Then it drops.
Oh man!
And I'm his guy in Miami, and he's like advocating for me in New York. Like I would hear like, oh, he shouted you out on Hot 97. And I'm doing stuff promoting him in Miami, and it's just like we had that back and forth, and everything he did kind of like opened doors for other artists to start be like, yo, N.O.R.E did that, and they would come in and do the freestyle, whatever, and it just like elevated my whole mixtape game at the time and my whole profile, my whole company because of that.
Yeah.
And so I always felt like, man, I want to return the favor however I can, because he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He really didn't have to like go out of his way. Like when he would come in and they would lock down Hit Factory and he'd have his whole crew and Capone came home and all this stuff, he'd be like, yeah, bring your 4-track, and they would all come and do freestyles, and it was crazy.
Where would you get your instrumentals from?
I would just get anything off of any record that I had, like just instruments that are out there.
Yeah, well, this is, again, for people listening, way before you could just like rip something off YouTube.
No, vinyl. This is vinyl.
Yeah.
I was
You couldn't say like
vinyl.
Heatmaker's type.
Yeah.
I'm the old school DJ guy.
Yeah. So you're not originally from Miami.
No, Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But you only lived there for a few years.
Yeah, I was born there, lived early years, and then it was like back and forth. My parents were separated, and my dad moved to Miami, so we were going back and forth like 3 or 4 times, and finally stayed in Miami around like junior high time.
So that's a big time to move. Junior high. You
terrible.
leave all your friends and you have to start anew.
Yeah.
So who are you in 6th, 7th grade?
I'm a troubled ass kid.
Yeah?
I mean, yeah, that's the precursor to everything, kind of like the company Crazy Hood and Who's Crazy. Like I felt like unstable.
Yeah.
I was a skater kid, listening to punk and rock and hip hop was at that time coming,
Do you have any older siblings?
No, I'm by myself. So
You're
imagine,
it. Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
I have to be
yeah.
real creative,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough times in those years.
How do you find a friend base when you move to Miami?
I mean, I had some friends, but yeah, because of what first fucked it up is moving back and forth. So if I made a friend and then we'd like leave,
You're out.
and then I'm like fuck, and I didn't like Miami when I first got to Miami. I missed LA. LA was my home. But then, finally when we stayed, I felt like I'm in prison all of a sudden. Like, oh, fuck, like, why, are we staying here? but you're a kid, you don't know. And my mom, she's just trying to make it work, and she's a single mother. I'm a latchkey kid, and just but ironically, like the music is what started to like help me in through these situations.
Well, how does the music find you?
Well, like I said, I've always been into music, and music always spoke to me and was always like helping me in whatever ways, but hip hop specifically kind of filled the void that I didn't have, like not really having my father around.
Yeah.
I tell people it might sound corny, but it really was kind of like that other parent for me.
Yeah.
Giving me like the street smarts I needed. My mom's like, if you get hit or you get beat up, just cry, go to the principal. Like that ain't fucking working.
Right.
So hip hop was kind of like giving me that balance that I needed. And it spoke to me in a way, and that's kind of like where the passion for hip hop came from.
What were the first like groups or acts or whoever that was like really speaking to you?
That spoke to me directly was like NWA and Public Enemy. Before that, I was listening to Beasties and Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick and
fun stuff.
2 Live Crew, MC Shy D, Gucci Crew from Miami, all that stuff. Yeah, but to me, it wasn't like when NWA came out, I was like, oh, these motherfuckers this is just scary shit. Like, this shit's real. Like I never had heard passion from hip hop until NWA, where you felt the anger, and then Public Enemy likewise on the other side of the spectrum. And those two groups, is what really spoke to me.
So did you have a boombox, a tape player?
Boombox.
Yeah.
Definitely had I was a kid with the boombox. Even when I was a skater, I had a boombox.
A Walkman?
I definitely had a Walkman.
Yeah.
And I had 2 tape decks. I would make pause tapes.
Where do you take that? Do you go to see live shows? Do people have ciphers at that time?
When I was that young, not yet. I'm not able to go to any really events or anything. And I didn't know how to even find out about events in Miami. When I go into high school, then you start to hear about parties or events, and then I kind of made it my life's mission. Like I want to be support the scene here and be a part of it. Like I sense that hip hop was in its young stages, period, but in Miami even more so in its infant stage, and I can actually be a part of it at least as a fan, as a supporter of the culture.
So what type of ways can you do that? Are you like getting into like the elements and
the beginning I had no skills. So I'm like, I just want to go to these things, like even if it's a dollar amount or just presence, I would be there. And it would be like, it's like, we'd go to whatever. There was like one hip hop club in all of Miami. It was like this little ass place, or there were these one-off parties and stuff. And you go and it's like you're supporting the DJs and you just want to kind of help cultivate this Miami hip hop scene. And then it was about the artists that were coming in from out of town. So I saw like the first time Biggie came. Wow. I saw him in Miami. The first time Wu-Tang came. And to see their faces, that for them to like, oh, wow, I got fans in Miami. Like you saw it. They were surprised.
Yeah.
First time.
How big were those rooms that they were playing?
Some of them were pretty big because they were like social club type that they would rent out. Like there was this one place called Mahi Temple. It was like a Shriners type of place.
Yeah.
And they would rent that out a lot to do hip hop. That's where I saw Biggie, and that's where I saw Wu, and those were pretty big halls.
Yeah,
man. And do you know all of their songs at that point?
Well, I mean, some of them were coming before they had albums.
Right.
Most of them.
Yeah.
So we just knew the mixtape stuff. Like there was this one thing, if I remember correctly, that Biggie started. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna kick a freestyle for you guys, and he starts kicking a freestyle, and back then a freestyle had to really be a freestyle.
Yeah.
He's kicking a verse off a mixtape. He doesn't think that we know it. So we start reciting the verses, and some people are booing, and he's like, man, fuck Miami. But that's so memorable.
Yeah. So Biggie comes down there, Wu-Tang comes down there. Who's someone that like you have ownership in? Somebody who's from around Miami that you're like, you know what? I'm putting all my chips into that person.
I mean, there's a lot of artists that never saw the light of day, but there was one specific artist that got signed, Mother Superior, and they used to call her the female Nas, and she was like everything that I wanted out of an artist, repping hip hop out of Miami. Like she was lyrical, but she's talking about Miami things, that speak to us being from Miami, and she was from this area called Ghouls in Miami.
Where's that?
It's south from where I live now. It's just south. Really South Miami.
Where do you live right now?
Yeah.
What's your address?
Yeah.
111. Shut the fuck up. So yeah, Mother Superior, but she got signed to Island Music, and then she moved to New York to pursue to create that. I don't know what she did, and everybody in Miami that supported her up to that point was very disappointed that she moved to New York.
Yeah. What can you do though, right?
Well, the thing is also we had an identity crisis in terms of hip hop in Miami. We had a lot of transplants from New York, so a lot of people identify as New Yorker. Not a hip hop head. I'm a New Yorker. You know what I'm saying?
Same issue with the baseball teams, by the way. Well,
Really?
No one's gonna go support like the Miami Marlins, but when the Yankees come to town or the Mets
everybody
come
comes
to play,
out.
so they'll fill that stadium up.
So that's the issue that we had. So we were always battling that, you know, because 50% of our scene was composed of New Yorkers.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then the other 50 was people trying to like say, nah, we're from Miami. We're repping Miami. We're just doing hip hop. And so when she moved, it kind of hurt us all. And she ended up on First Funk Flex album, I believe, doing some spoken word. And then I think she did something where she got on the radio and started talking trash about, I don't know if it was Kim or Fox. And then the city was like, get the fuck out of here. You're not from here. Something happened. And her album got shelved. She got dropped from the label. And her album was amazing. It was production by KRS-One with, you know, she had stuff, verses from KRS-One, produced by Redman. Her first music video was directed by the Jizza.
Whoa.
Like, it was just, just an incredible project. And it was completely repping Miami. And I think it would have changed the face of Miami hip-hop. I mean, even Southern hip-hop to a degree. Early had projects like that came out of the South. You know, just like how everybody, like Outkast to me is like the pinnacle of like, you know, Southern hip hop.
Yeah.
And I feel we would have had more of that, you know, more success stories and like that. We would have been a different sounding region.
Yeah. But instead, like, you know, the thing that people really talk about when they talk about Miami is like Luke and, you know,
right. Which is a
and
big part
which is
of it.
huge part of it. But it's like it's a very singular thing. It's not a diverse, you know, community of artists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And locally, what happened is even though Luke, 2 Live Crew, and all that is hip hop, and even in the early stages, it was them or Run DMC or whatever. Locally, what ended up happening, it became like two parallels where it's like bass music became like its own thing.
Yep.
And then you had hip hop, and then bass looked at hip hop like some New York shit, like in a New York invasion.
Yeah.
You know, because of that whole New Yorker thing stigma.
Well, and where were you? Where was your head at?
No, I'm in the hip hop camp, but I very much listen to bass as well. Like if I went to a party, like the best parties were a DJ that had a set that he played bass music, Miami bass.
Yeah.
Reggae. The reggae is a big part of everything, you know, in Miami too.
Yep.
And hip hop, like reggae, just good old boom bap hip hop. That was a perfect party because you dance with the girls with the bass, you dance with the girls with the reggae, and then you just sitting there vibing to
stand on the wall during the hip hop. Yeah.
But where are the people who are making the real lyrical bass music? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? If you go back and listen to 2 Live Crew now in comparison to some music now,
well, yeah,
but pretty damn lyrical.
If you listen to anything, you know, as compared to now,
very lyrical, very underrated.
Yeah, also very political.
By the way, anybody who gets mad at like, you know, saying like, oh, the new generation is not lyrical or whatever, and they go into the sing-songy thing. Biz Markie was not, you know.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you think about how Jacksonville basically took over Miami bass music?
Did they?
Yeah, like 69 Boys and all of them they were from like.
We didn't really. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the same sound. If you really like listen to it sonically, it wasn't the same.
Or it was exactly the same.
Nah, we didn't really. Like you ever heard of DJ Uncle Al?
Yeah.
He passed away.
Yeah.
That sound that's like the definitive Miami bass sound.
When do you really feel at home and you're part of the community? Like what age?
I would say like high school is when I'm starting to feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
And
you get your driver's license.
Yeah, feeling good in my own skin.
Yep.
I got my crew, which is practically the same people I've been hanging out with today. You know?
Right on.
Yeah.
And so you feel like yourself and you have your identity and you're at home.
Right.
Is that when you get into DJing?
Shortly after, well, I didn't have the money I wanted to be. I was a DJ in my mind always.
Yeah.
You know, I was inspired. The DJ is what spoke to me whenever I saw like a music video. It was, you know, the Eric B's or even Dre and Yella, Jazzy Jeff and these guys. Terminator X was one of my favorites. So I wanted to do that, but I just didn't have the bread to buy turntables. That's why I would do the pause tapes. Then I was able to get the DJ starter kit in the back of the Source magazine.
Which consisted of what?
2 Gemini belt drive turntables, but you couldn't tell me shit. I was like, yo, come over to my crib. I had a little setup. I had one crate with like maybe 20 records, and those 20 records were just gold to me. And that little setup was everything in the world. And I said to myself, one day I'm gonna get 2 crates.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
How much did that cost?
Too many records.
Yeah.
How much did the starter kit cost?
I don't remember. It might have been like $80 or something. I really don't know. I'm trying to add inflation to that. I don't know. I really don't remember.
How many of your friends here carried your crates for you?
Well, yeah, Boris, and he's one of the younger guys, but
my
last vinyl gig, he carried the crates.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's
but,
good,
everybody.
good friends.
Yeah, he used to do Hype Man, Drain back there, who does photography for Drink Champs now, and he's a producer with us.
Yeah.
He used to carry my crates and be Hype Man.
What are your first couple gigs like?
I threw our own event. Like, the first thing I did, I started, like, right out of high school, I'm like, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to try and do something within the realm of hip-hop music, entertainment. I started a company. What am I going to name the company? I named it Crazy Hood Productions. Crazy because I thought it was insane. Hood because that was what we wore as hip-hop heads. That was, like, our uniform, a hoodie.
Yeah.
You know, and even though it's hot in Miami, it's cold in school. So we wore the hoodie. And Productions because I wanted it to sound professional. Take me serious.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did is set
You're
up.
just like KRS-One. Yeah.
So we didn't have many like I said, clubs or anything like that. So the only way people could listen to hip hop was parties, like local parties, or we had warehouse parties. So I threw a warehouse party. A friend of mine, his dad had a car body shop, and that Friday when his dad and the workers left, we went in there and we cleaned up the body shop. We moved all the cars. We set up turntables and we had flyers out that whole week.
Was your friend's father aware of what you were doing?
No. We threw it. Everybody from around the city came. Like,
they have hydraulic lifts?
They had. We just put them all the way up. So you could dance under them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and we cleaned up all the oil on the floor. Like, I have pictures of us mopping and shit. It was crazy. And then we threw that party. But
people do that now, like for irony's sake. But like back then, you were like, "Yo, this is gonna be dope."
No, we had it was dope.
Yeah.
Until a shootout happened.
Not dope.
Yeah.
Not planned?
Not planned. Yeah. It wasn't a part of the events.
It wasn't on the flyer.
Yeah. And our feature event, everybody.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ladies free before midnight, and if you have a gun on you, $5. Yeah.
So yeah, somebody got shot. We had a shootout. Cops came and they were like, if we ever see this, we just put CHP, so if we ever see this fucking CHP shit, we're fucking shutting you down, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. The dad found out about the shit.
Of course he did.
He was irate. And then, but that kind of like, that infamy started and kind of helped our name.
You lived up to your name.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was hood.
And I wasn't spinning yet, so that was a party I did. I didn't have technique turntables yet. I wasn't going to do anything public until I had technique.
Until you mastered your craft.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you're at home like practicing?
Yeah, I'm practicing, but I'm actually taping my boys that are DJing. Like, I'm paying attention. I would buy the Executioners had VHS tapes.
Whoa, yeah.
And I would buy those and study that.
So you're doing tricks?
Not really, but trying.
Yeah.
But then I had DJ Craze, who lives practically next to me, who's a world-renowned DJ.
What's his address?
His is so yeah, he's there. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna compete with that, so I'll just do mixtapes,
Yeah.
And then shortly after I got my turntables, then I started getting gigs. Like we did another spot on our own at a hotel lounge. Mm-hmm. And then I would get gigs in South Beach working for like the Italian Mafia. They had like these. Remember those gigs, Drain? Oh yeah. Yeah, those were pretty insane.
How were the splits at the end of the night? Yeah.
Or who's getting split?
Yeah.
All I remember is that they would be like, it was like in the beginning, they're like, we're going to try this hip hop thing you guys want to do here. But then they'll be like, but we don't want no spics and niggas here.
Whoa.
I'm like, well, I mean, I'm a spic. So yeah, it was a little weird. But they ran the beach at that time. Some of those clubs. I think Union Bar was the name of that one. And then went off and ended up doing a Mickey Rourke's club. Was actually my first club gig. Was Mickey Rourke's club called Mickey's.
Did you meet him?
No.
Oh, okay.
Didn't meet him, and then I had to try out to get the gig. And what I did is I did a all reggae set. Just fucked them all up because they just saw this Cuban kid. Yeah. And I'm like, all right. And then I just had the 45s and I murdered them with the reggae. Oh shit, you got it. Let's go. And I got the job that way.
When you talk about going to all of the conventions. Mm-hmm. What age were you going, and who were some of the people that you met there?
Right out of high school, so that's like 17, 18, maybe 19. Maybe I think How Can I Be Down was what, 94, 95?
94 started.
Yeah, so I was probably 18 years old.
Man.
Yeah, and it was a blessing because I was like, how am I gonna meet anybody? Because the only way I'm getting information is through like the Source magazine.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm learning about things, or reading all the credits on cassette tapes and CDs, because that's how you're kind of like getting your bearings on who does what in the industry.
Yeah.
And then I hear about this convention. I'm like, oh shit, this is my opportunity to like meet people that I'll never be able to meet. And it was such a perfect time in hip hop because the artists were still like
approachable,
exactly. Yeah. They were just happy to be known. And I'll never forget how like Busta was like, yeah, and Biggie and Pun and Puff and and just everybody. I mean, I got drops from Buckshot, and so I just met everybody in these first conventions. I went to like 2 or 3 How Can I Be Downs and some other conventions. It was amazing, man.
How big was your T-shirt and what was written on it?
Oh, huge. I wasn't even that fat, and I was rocking a 4X, 5X, but it looked very fashionable at the time.
Yeah.
And no, but
I thought you were gonna say very festive, and I was like, yes, ooh.
and festive.
Yeah.
I took a page out of like Wu-Tang and Master P's book in terms of branding, and all of us wore Crazy Hood shirts.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was like a family reunion of you guys walking
it was
around.
The army. I wanted you to, if you're in my hometown, if you're in Miami, I want you to know who we are. Like, that was my whole point. Like, you need to know who we are because you're in my hood. And
was there anybody else who was doing it like you at that time? Around there?
Locally, no.
Yeah.
No.
Do you think that like your teenage sort of guts played a big part in this, where you're just like, fuck it, like I'll do whatever?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't successful in everything I tried to do, and not everything worked, but the drive was there.
Yeah.
And me seeking out knowledge, because I didn't have a mentor. Nobody taught me to DJ. Nobody taught me business. Nobody taught me none of that.
I mean, Kara taught you mathematics.
Did teach me that. It's common. I think common sense, gets a bad rap. It's a lot of common sense. You know?
So what did you think that you could do for the area at that point?
I just wanted to bring just attention, respect. I looked at what happened in the boroughs, and I wanted to do that for Miami. So what I was doing in the mixtapes and just by Crazy Hood repping a certain area was on purpose to inspire the other areas. Well, fuck your area, but more on some like musical shit, not really beef. Sometimes it turned into beef.
Yeah.
But it's like Hialeah would be like, fuck you, Kendall boys, and we're gonna do it better than you, or Little Haiti or Little Havana, and that's what I wanted to happen, to create what happened here in New York, in any way possible that I could.
Did you think about getting into like promotions in terms of like bringing artists down?
Yeah. I the first time N.O.R.E came down, I brought him down.
Really?
Yeah, his first solo by himself. After I met him, I did the first solo.
Wow, how'd it go?
It went really well.
Yeah?
Really well. I was gonna say, should I talk about the Khaled thing? I don't know.
Please?
Yes. What?
Yeah.
No, please don't.
It's awkward because we haven't had Khaled on the show. I haven't talked about this anywhere. I was gonna wait to talk about it with him on the show.
Yeah.
And it's really nothing.
Yeah.
But it's really funny because it turns out that back then I went through Violator to book N.O.R.E.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it took months. It was my first time. I was really worried, making sure I did everything right. I had a lawyer. I probably overspent money on a lawyer for that. But I was just worried that I would do something wrong. And it took maybe like 2 or 3 months to book it, deposit in. Finally got the deposit in. We got the signed contracts back. And I'm like, whew. And every Wednesday in Miami, we had these DJ get-togethers at a club called Cream. And outside the club, all the promoters would come with their cars, and in their trunks they had their records, and the DJs would come from the city and pick up their promo records. And that was like where everybody would go. Khaled would go. We would all be there.
Yeah.
And I get there and I'm like celebrating, like, yeah, we finally booked it. Oh man, weight off my shoulder. Now we just got to do the show. And I see Khaled beefing with one of my boys, and it turns out, long story short, is that Khaled was starting the Temple, his famous events.
Yep.
And he was announcing on the radio. He was on Mix 96, which was a big pirate radio at the time out there, that he had a special announcement of a special guest, and apparently it was N.O.R.E that he was booking. But I didn't know this. So he thinks that we stole N.O.R.E from him. At the time, at least he thought.
Yeah.
And it turned into something right there, like a little weird.
Damn.
And so to this day, I wonder, is this why he's not coming on?
Yeah. He has a very long memory.
Yeah. Well, N.O.R.E, like, he's like, yeah, it definitely is you, because I'm hanging out at his house all the time.
Yeah. You fucked it up.
But I mean, we've seen each other since. We've been cool. Like, we've worked and done stuff since then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't imagine that would still carry.
Has he brought it up numerous times?
I don't think he would bring it up.
I feel like he might.
I think he would feel like, I don't care about that dumb shit that happened. But I don't know.
Right.
I know all his peoples. I'm like, yo, let's.
Well, I'm saying as a Jew, the only thing I understand is guilt. So I would hold on to that feeling for 20-some-odd years. Yeah.
It was a little awkward when it went down.
Yeah. So you start promoting shows. You're in the community, and you're making a name for yourself.
Right. And for the crew.
Yeah. What do your parents think of what you do for a living?
My mom at first was like, well, my mom is weird. She was kind of supportive, but at the same time, hip hop had such a bad rap, so she's like worried and I don't think you should.
She heard about the shootout at the
She didn't hear about that. Yo, I told my mom all kinds of shit years later. She's like, what the fuck? But my mom was like really like artsy in that sense, so she was always about like flexing creativity and trying to like do your own thing. So she was supportive in that way, but she was also getting pressure from family who were more, like right wingers, and they're like, hey, you need to go to college, this,
right.
that. And my mom was working at a community college, which allowed me to go for free.
That was your in, yeah.
And I kind of fucked it up and like didn't finish, and she was like super disappointed. I went back years later and showed her a diploma. She thought I had forged one. Well. But yeah, so she was disappointed. She was worried, and then there's times that there'd be some money, and just it was up and down. Entertainment is, the arts is difficult.
Yeah,
yeah.
So she she had been worried, but I mean she supported me the whole way through.
Well, were there any jobs that you took like in the meantime?
No, I mean sometimes like my father, we had a weird relationship, but he was always a businessman and an entrepreneur. So he would come into town and he would like do businesses, and I would come in and help him and stuff like that. And we tried one time to do a business together, which didn't work out.
What was that?
It was a check cashing store.
Okay.
It didn't work out between us, just our relationship. So those are the only things that I did, but really it was since high school, it was really just Crazy Hood Productions, DJ EFN stuff.
Wait, was there any times that you were actually going back to LA?
I would go almost to LA every year to see I got family out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a big Cuban community out there?
There isn't compared to Miami, but what Cubans do is they find each other and they create like social clubs, so they all network. So growing up when I was young, I felt like if I was in Miami, because they were all around me, the club would have a bar for the old people, they would be playing dominoes, at daycare for the kids, they would do like pageants for the teenagers and dances.
Yeah.
So it kept all the Cuban community like together and networking with each other.
When did you open up your first brick and mortar store?
Crazy Goods was 97, I think, 96, 97.
And what sort of led you to do that?
Just, again, thinking there was a need for it and something else that we can do to add to, what we were doing, to the movement. And
where'd you open it at?
It was on Bird Road and 137th, and it's like I don't know is that Sweetwater? It's in Miami. It's not far from where we live.
Yeah.
And then it was awesome because I would get artists to come in there doing we had like Cool G Rap there and all these, and I'm bringing it down, and it's where we live pretty far south in Miami, so not many people make it down that far. So it was really cool we would do like park jams or like in the parking lot jams where we would have like writer's bench for the writers, b-boy, contests, freestyle battles, and I would give away like Echo stuff. And
so it became like a part of the scene.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And I was trying to really, one thing I wanted to do differently, there was other shops like ours, but they were all like, they were hip hop / head shops. And my thing was like, man, I mean, I don't smoke, so I was like, I don't want a mom bringing her son or your daughter, and then they see like bongs and shit. Like,
right.
I want it to be
I'm sorry, they're art pieces.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe the mom is like, ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't want that vibe. I wanted it to be like just hip hop.
When N.O.R.E comes down and other artists come down, and you're DJ EFN, do you feel like you've made it at that point?
No, because making it to me is, financial freedom, creating opportunities for everybody else in the crew that's supporting this movement. Because, my crew, I was really lucky. I had really good friends that, although we all wanted to be involved in the music business, it just couldn't support everybody.
Yep.
So everybody started to go off and get regular jobs and careers or go back to school because it just wasn't able to support, but they were still supportive, morally or whatever.
Yeah.
So really, even to this day, like, I don't feel like I'm successful till at least everybody that was a part of the movement with me has something from it or can say, okay, that helped me.
See, there's the guilt I'm talking about. Maybe you are Jewish.
Cubans and Jews?
Yeah. When does Miami then become the Miami that it is now? I mean, and obviously not now, but when do people start moving down? When do people consider it a destination?
I think those conferences did it. They would come, like we had Mix Show Power Summit. We had a bunch of conferences, and I just think as people would come, be like, oh, I like this shit. I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah.
And it became this whole thing where Miami was like, oh, these motherfuckers coming and taking our bitches and blah 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 and this other shit. So yeah, I just think people came, they saw Miami, they liked the weather, what they thought was great weather, because when you're in the summer, Miami's the worst weather. And they just bought condos, and it was cool to be in Miami. People putting it in songs. Ross blows up, Pitbull blows up, makes Miami like this thing, which they were all a part of my mixtapes. Like I was part of their careers.
Yeah.
Right. But even before that, like in the sort of like 99, 2000, 2001 era, like I feel like Puff would go down there and record for a while, and like other people like that. So it became a scene, became like a lot of music videos were shot down there.
Well, musically, it was always a scene.
Right.
Like, hip-hop wise, maybe it took a little, but there was always a bunch of famous musicians. Madonna was always out there.
Estefan.
Yeah, sure. But for rap to come down there,
right.
So they would hang down there for a longer period of time?
Yeah.
And you would have people just come through the store, and it was like...
No, what happened is then it became like this like bougie scene, like where it's like these upper echelon artists that only stayed in South Beach and thought that was Miami.
That was it, yeah.
And then we'd had this saying like cross the bridge, like the real Miami's across the bridge. And so none of those people, if they got to the point where they were buying condos in South Beach, they probably weren't coming to visit me.
Gotcha.
At that point.
Gotcha.
I'm still doing an underground thing.
Right. But you're making mixtapes.
Right.
And you're getting exclusives.
Right.
What are some of the tricky ways that you use to get your exclusives?
Well, one of the things I would do is at these conferences, I'd go to the main hotel where all the artists were at. I would plop this digital 4-track in the lobby. I'd be with like 10 to 15 crazy hoods. And then as the artist came in, here's a microphone, drop a freestyle, let's do this.
Even if you didn't know them?
Oh, I rarely knew them, you know? I knew who they were. I just didn't know them. And then they usually would look around and see Black and Latinos all around them wearing crazy hoods. Just said, who's crazy? Be like, fuck it, let's do it. For the culture.
Right. And how would you distribute your mixtapes?
I had like different distributors around the country and internationally, and I would sell them myself. In the beginning, it was out the trunk. I would make the t-shirts and sell a mixtape with a t-shirt. So with a Crazy Hood shirt and a mixtape, and we go out there and hustle them. And flea markets was big for us in Miami.
Did any labels come after you knowing the music you put out?
Yeah, I used to get those letters all the time, the cease and desist letters, and scary ass letters with a big ass federal stamp at the top. Like, oh shit, I better stop. Whatever.
But did any labels come after you like in a positive way, like, hey, we want to do business with you?
Oh, that's how most of my networking happened, because there was still a lack of radio, playing hip hop in Miami. We didn't have big mix shows for a long time, and so even when that started, it was very limited what they would play. So I was like the go-to, or people like me were the go-to for these A&Rs or these promoters at the label to get the music out. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to these guys, and what's cool is that I got to meet people at certain stages in their career, and then they got to different stages, and that kind of brought me along up the ladder.
After Katrina, when Baby moves down and Wayne would come there, and Fat Joe was down there, and a lot of people like moved in. Did you sense that there was a change there in terms of like what hip hop meant to the city and what it was on a regular basis?
Yeah, because before, that's the small scene that I kind of described. We kind of owned it a little bit more, as this all-encompassing. Like Zulu Nation was there, a part of it, and all the artists. Like the local artists were heroes to everybody in this little scene. And then when these bigger artists came in, and hip hop just was growing on its own internationally, then this scene lost control. We lost control of it.
Right.
So I'm kind of like one of the last remnants of that scene. Yeah. And I actually wrote a piece for MTV News when they did the MTV Awards in Miami a few years back.
Yeah.
Called Miami's Lost Hip Hop Scene, where I talk about it.
But there are people, like Jeff was saying before, like or maybe you said before, the Rosses and the Pitbulls who grow up there,
and the Smitties
and the Smitties. Oh man,
that's good.
Yeah.
People, yeah.
And like we have a soft spot for like mixtape Ross from back then, for Pitbull when he would come up here and do like Ladies Night on Hot 97 on like a Friday night and like really spit. Like this is before like he became Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah.
And
before he became Armando.
That is true.
Yeah.
And they were just like nasty. What did you like about them, and what did you see for them as in terms of like popular music?
Right. I mean, for me, it was just they're repping Miami. They have drive, and I'm seeing it. So I'm not gonna be the antithesis to that. Like I'm gonna be a part of that. Like I don't want to anti whatever their movement is. So I was like always supportive of anybody locally that I saw that was going somewhere. That regardless of how good they were, because in the beginning I really wasn't a big fan of Pitt. In the beginning, I was like I felt like there was better artists. Like I had my own artist, Garcia, another Cuban dude, that Pitt and them were all cool, and I was like, I felt like, and actually Garcia almost got a deal, and I know Pitt's manager Teach at the same time, and I told him, I don't know, man, I think Pitt needs to, like polish it up or get a little bit better lyrically, blah, blah, whatever. I forgot what critique I gave, but I was like, I'm not gonna be anyone that holds him back or be a part of anything that's not gonna work for him, and I'm gonna be behind him because he's repping Miami, he's doing something positive, and he had a great attitude. Pitt is one of those people that I would tell artists to study. the way he is, because he's just such a great person. Like he never he took criticism well, and if one person in the industry at one point didn't believe in him, he didn't hold that. He actually make it work for him later on, in his career.
Sure.
So once I got over that he wasn't exactly what I wanted, then I saw what I did like in him, and I was all the way behind him. And I had practically have 2 albums worth of material unreleased on Pit.
Really?
He would just come all the time, always dropping freestyles. He was a workhorse. And the same with Ross. My boy that worked with us heavily, DJ Megamix, was his DJ and would do all these mixtapes with him. And he would bring him through. And Ross was just a workhorse, just doing mixtapes.
Yeah.
He was just hungry. And that hunger, really, at the end of the day, is it's it attracts people.
Yeah.
And both of them really had that.
Yeah. So all the mixtape stuff he was doing back then, and the buzz that he had, and he's been around for a long time, and he was running with Eric Sermon and different people, but the change was clearly when Hustlin' hit. So what was that record doing, and did you feel it around the city?
Yeah, he brought that. Actually, he tried to get me a CD. I still have it, where he wrote DJ EFN, and it was the new record. He was trying to leak it to me, and I have it. And I remember Khaled played it, and that's when Khaled went crazy. He was starting to do what Flex was doing up here with records, just playing them. And I knew it. I was like, that record right there. That's and it was months before. I think it went national, and before Def Jam got involved or any of that.
Right,
stuff.
right.
In Miami, we were just playing it like crazy, and I told him. I think I even hit him up yo, you got one right here.
So you would go around clubs and you would hear it out of cars. And it was everything.
Everywhere. Yeah, him, Pitt, the city was behind them.
Yeah.
But it took a minute. We're like any other city. People don't really believe in you until they think that you're about to be something.
Yeah.
I'm talking about citywide, not for me or anything, but that's how it was. Once those records started bubbling, then the city was like, oh, these guys are gonna pop.
Right.
So is it almost like it has to break in another city before it breaks in Miami?
That's usually what helped an artist in Miami.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So what cities do you look towards down there?
Well, no, for me, I couldn't tell you because I never did that.
Yeah.
But I would say as a city, that's what they were doing. It's
attitude,
you pop somewhere else, somebody else likes you.
Yeah.
Oh, now we like you.
Yeah.
You're gonna make it now, so we better get behind it.
So who are some Miami artists who you feel like you really believed in and maybe were great locally but never broke worldwide?
My artist Garcia was one of them. We actually had a deal with K over here through Koch, right? Latchkey Records via Koch. Great album, and that it didn't do what we wanted it to do. We thought he was amazing. There was this dude, Jay Pure, unfortunately got in a car accident, that he would have been amazing if he would have came out. Smitty, I think, I know he's killing it writing.
Yeah.
I think, he definitely could.
He had some records.
Yeah, he definitely could have been doing a lot of things. I mean, there's just a lot of people, some that didn't, for whatever reason, whether it was a car accident or something tragic. A lot of artists. I mean, being a mixtape DJ, I came across all these guys. Oh, we have Scam too. Shout out to my boy Scam. Which people don't realize he's from Miami as well.
Right.
Did the artwork for Eminem.
Right.
Did the Drink Champs logo.
Really?
Yeah. And so had the song with Eminem. He's another amazing artist that I think would be dope if the city got behind him. Be pride. Wow, this guy's from Miami. I don't even think they realize he's from Miami.
How do things shift for you as the internet gets to be
what it is?
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to adapt with the times.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely felt like I flourished better in the analog days, but I saw it coming. I mean, I started crazyhood.com. I did that site in '94.
Wow.
So I was thinking ahead of the the times.
What was it?
It was just a destination site.
Yeah.
Trying to sell some stuff, but like a blog type of thing, like a magazine, like a website magazine. But I always regret that I didn't get behind it more and develop it more and get more into analytics and start to learn that back then.
Yeah.
Because we were so ahead of it by doing it. We were the first local music website, and so I mean I felt like the internet it got ahead of us, and I was kind of stuck in my ways, analog wise in a sense.
How long did you hold on to that traditional sort of thinking?
Well, in the branding aspect, not at all. Quickly I realized if I'm gonna, first of all, for branding, thank you. There's nothing like it, in terms of what it costs to brand yourself and do things online.
Yeah.
So I saw that immediately, and I'm like, I could be in my underwear at the crib, making big moves,
Right.
So I took
that
advantage
is the dream,
I mean, I lived it. So I did that, and that's to me that was a huge advantage for me. being where I already was and kind of understanding the industry and the landscape and taking advantage of it. But in other aspects and more technicality, like me, I would have preferred to have been better at Serato or, and just using the internet in different ways in more creative ways, technically and musically, I didn't.
So in that blog era that really happened, so let's say like 2006 to 2013, 14, whatever, cheers. Did you think that there was a place for you in that blogging community?
I felt the blog was a new mixtape for me.
And how did you take advantage of that?
By curating blogs the way I would curate mixtapes. I felt the mixtape scene that I came from was disappearing. And not only was it no longer cassettes and physical CDs done by a DJ, now the artists they own now the mixtape because they would do basically albums and call it mixtape. Right. So we lost our power kind of as DJs. Now we're A&Rs, we're curators, and that we have to take advantage of what we were doing and just do it in a different platform.
Yeah, but also you were the enemy of the state as a DJ. You're as a mixtape DJ. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, like you saw what happened to DJ Drama, and it's just like actually, where were you when that happened with DJ Drama?
I mean, I was in Miami, but I heard about it and it was crazy. But before that happened, we had a bigger thing happen in Miami with this distributor he called Hip Hop Connection. He was one of the biggest mixtape distributors in the world. I don't know why people don't know about him that much. It's crazy because every time I bring it up, nobody really knows.
Yeah.
But he was one of the biggest mixtape distributors in the world. And he got raided by the feds. This is way before the shit happened with Drama.
Whoa.
They raided him like if he was Al-Qaeda.
Wow.
They went in with SWAT shit into his crib. The guy with freaking mixtape, pressing shit. And they froze his assets and all this shit. I mean, but this guy will tell you, he's like, DJ Clue mixtapes alone bought his crib. DJ Tony Touch bought his car. Like that's how much money he was making off of it.
Yeah.
So I already saw that happening. And then I would get those letters like I mentioned. I said, let me just, not go too hard.
Right.
Let me not ruffle too many feathers.
Yeah. The blog era comes and it sort of transitions. And now we live in this world of content.
Right.
So as we're getting into like 2015-ish, and you have some podcasts that are moving, you have some celebrities that are becoming a part of this content game, right? Certainly Joe Budden is like really at the top of that, Joe Budden TV, and now he's doing the Joe Budden podcast. Shout out to Combat Jack and a lot of people who were at the forefront, Cypher Sounds and Peter Rosenberg.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you see a place where you could create content that was in your own voice, and how did the beginning of Drink Champs come to you?
So N.O.R.E, after he did the reggaeton album,
Yes.
which I had nothing to do with. I actually thought it was a joke when he told me he was going to do it because I wasn't a fan of reggaeton.
Wow.
Yeah. So after he did that,
Hold on, that's really disrespectful.
Yeah.
Now you thought it was a joke.
Yeah. Well, because this is an Oye Mi Canto house.
That's
Well,
right. Yeah.
no,
Yes. Exactly.
So let me explain why I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Like literally,
Yeah.
I came to New York and we were in the studio with him, and I'm like filming, like I was always trying to get content back then. I'm filming some stuff, and then he comes in, he starts like doing some like reggae move, and he starts like rhyming a verse in that cadence, and I'm like, ha ha ha! I thought I was just drunk, Look at N.O.R.E, you crazy. No, that was the verse for the reggaeton. So I literally thought it was a joke.
Oh man.
And and I told him I wasn't a big fan of it. I mean, I wanted Latinos to thrive in hip hop, but in my personal opinion, it was just like fake patois in Spanish, and I wasn't. And then the like Murder She Wrote beat looped over and over again.
Right.
From
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah.
And I went to Puerto Rico, and I told my boy took me to a reggaeton club years before reggaeton. He goes, "This is gonna blow up in the U.S." I'm like, "Yeah, right." And it did.
Yeah.
So after he did that, though, he called me and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna move to Miami, and I'm done doing this reggaeton stuff now, and I know bring me back to hip hop, basically."
Yeah.
So he moved close to where I had my studio in Kendall, and he was coming every day to the studio. And the first thing we did was a freestyle over where we looped D Nice. They call me D Nice.
Yeah.
One of my favorite joints.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the best way to get back into hip hop.
By the way, I have that.
Yeah, we
on
have
my-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said they call me N.O.R.E, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that got played by Flex. Everybody played that, and and then we were starting to get that buzz for him again from what he was doing with us. So while he's down there, I don't know if you guys know Leo G that was at XM Radio. He had 66 Raw was his station. He approached us, N.O.R.E first, and then N.O.R.E had him talk to me about doing like a show for XM, a weekly. So I was like, hell yeah, let's do this shit. So we did a show. We recorded it in our studios, And then it lived there for a while, and then SiriusXM merged. It lived on Backspin. It lived on Hip Hop Nation. So we did it for like 2 or 3 years. And it was a weekly show. I think we were one of the few shows that we'd actually pre-record and send it in to them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hear anybody was able to do that. And we didn't make any money off of it. But if you Google that or search on YouTube, there's clips from that show. That show looks and sounds like Drink Champs. We drink Tiger Bone. We say make some noise. We introduce ourselves the same exact way. And it was just Drink Champs minus too many guests, because not many guests were coming that far south to see us.
Right.
But we had Fat Joe, I think, one time, and a couple people.
Yeah.
And so it acts as like a proof of concept.
Yeah. But what happens, we stopped doing it because, A, we didn't make money, and N.O.R.E. did a new CNN album, went on tour to Europe.
Yep.
I was managing a group called Mayday that got signed to Tech Nine Strange Music.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they were
with
going on
exclamation
tour.
points.
He's one of the co-managers as well.
Right on, yeah.
Yeah, so we got busy with that, and so we stopped doing the show. But then I was like, I felt like I wanted to do something like that.
By the way, Mayday's brother is Ramel, right?
One of the guys, yeah.
Yeah.
He lives out here.
Yeah.
Ramel Garcia.
Yeah.
Garcia, the
Your
Cuban
artist. Oh, my God.
Yeah. No, not one of the Cuban artists from what? That I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
no, Jeff's just like, yeah. By the way, just so you know, I'm not full of shit. Like, here.
DJ EFN, Hazardous Sound Production.
Still dope, by the way. Yeah.
My name is N.O. 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 Militate me, homie, and I rap it cause I'm with it. My name is N.O. 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 Militate me, homie, and I rap it cause I'm with it. Yo, I'm taking out you suckers and you don't know how I did it. Yeah, I keep the hoodie on and I'ma stand up. I keep my grams up, homie, I've been manned up. See me with showing out, we show it all, showing off. Benz on the proper, but it's all pulling off. I'm a rapper with no problems, I stay to myself. No rappers want beef, so I beef with myself. Yeah, only thing you do good is fucking up the regiment. Text message sex, get the telephone pregnant. My name is N.O., although I hate to admit it. Bone mad chicken heads, love how I did it. Yo, I ain't retired, nope, homie, I stay here, I play here. I'ma still hustle with great hair. It's raining outside, so I'ma get my 30 wet. I'm still young, homes, I ain't even 30 yet. Cocaine incredible, crack that's edible. Left rack niggas getting beef, that's regrettable. Cause, my name is N.O. My name is N.O.
Still dope.
So we both got busy. We stopped doing it. I wanted to do it. Then I had another friend who was big in podcasting. He's like in the Hall of Fame or something. He'd been doing it since regular internet radio.
Wait, there's a podcasting Hall of Fame?
Yeah. I'm hearing there's a couple of them.
And we're not in any of them?
Don't worry, I got you, kid.
Yo, we suck.
So my homie's name is Godfrey. He had Gamertag Radio. It was like a gaming hip hop podcast, and he had been doing it for years. And he was always like, "Man, you should podcast." And one of the things that was kind of different for me is that it felt like the podcast community was very pro everybody should podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, in business, you're anti anybody doing what the fuck you're doing.
Right,
you know?
right.
So he's like, "No, man, podcast. Yeah, man, this is what you should do." Blah, blah, whatever. I told N.O.R.E. Took a couple years. He didn't really get it.
Maybe he was just trying to get back at you for your comments about the reggaeton
Maybe.
shit.
Yeah,
you know?
he thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
And mind you, parallel to this, I had already kind of like grabbed Drink Champs as a name because it was something we would say in our studio. Like if you got too drunk and you passed out, you're not a drink champ. I'm a drink champ. It was a joke.
Yeah.
I thought it was always dope.
Mm-hmm.
N.O.R.E. ended up even writing a song inspired off of it that Alchemist produced back then. And I went ahead and got the website, got the socials, ended up copywriting it years before
That's
I knew
smart.
what we would do with it.
Yeah.
So mind you, while we're talking about podcasting, Drink Champs is not the name yet, but I'm in the back of my mind, I do have that Drink Champ. That'd be great. And I love to drink.
Yeah.
You're a drink champ.
Yeah. So years pass by and back and forth. Loudspeakers hits us up. Mm-hmm. They hit up N.O.R.E. They're like, "Hey, yeah, man, you should consider podcasting. You'd be great. That whatever you were doing, you know, with EFN, that XM show, that might be great."
Yeah.
And N.O.R.E., he puts them in contact with me. They send equipment. N.O.R.E.'s still not ready. Another year passes. Then he does Tax Stone show.
Yeah.
And he called me like immediately. He's like, "I'm ready." It's something about that interaction where he saw himself in Tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because it seemed like back then in the hip hop community, podcasting was like a nerdy thing to them.
Right.
So they just, you know, they didn't get it. Oh, that's a nerd, like computer shit.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Okay, I'm ready." And
or
then,
maybe even the idea of like sharing your history. Like a lot of the guys were just like, I don't know, I'm gonna die with my secrets.
I don't know. I think it was more of like they just thought it was like some nerdy internet computer thing that they were like, I don't know.
Well, they were right.
Yeah.
Right. But they didn't think it made money.
Yeah.
That's not cool. Like,
Right.
I can't go Puff, hey, I'm podcasting.
Right,
Puff,
right,
you know?
right.
So that's what I think. But when he saw this dude, he's like, this is a street dude podcasting. Like, okay, I see myself in this. He's like, I'm ready. And then at the same time, Godfrey had just got a deal with CBS doing podcasting. And he's like, yo, you want me to make the introduction? And I'm like, N.O.R.E, what do you think? Do you do loudspeaker? And he's like, well, CBS sounds pretty cool, though. Like, it's CBS.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty big. All right, let's talk to them. And then we did a deal with them. And we did it not knowing that at all that it was going to pop the way it popped. You know, we wanted it to.
Sure.
But there was no anticipation of what it was going to become pretty quickly.
Well, so how difficult was it for you to book guests at that point and describe what this would be?
Well, we had to do 2 demos for CBS.
Okay.
It was the first day was Kenny Anderson,
Yep.
basketball player.
Yeah, sure.
And the second day was Fat Joe. This is done in at my offices. If you even see the first video, the backdrop is just crazy hood stuff. There's no drink champs, no nothing. And I convinced him to call it drink champs because N.O.R.E's pretty impatient. When he's ready to do something, he's like, oh, that sounds great. Let's go. Let's do it. You know? And so we did those 2 demos, and they were like, oh, this is great. And we launched those.
Was the Fat Joe one like 6 hours?
3 hours.
Yeah. Greatest storyteller.
And it was a pretty sober episode too, because we were amateur drink champs. And that went out first, even though we recorded that second. And it just, I remember I asked the guys from the podcasting department, what's decent numbers? They're like, 60,000 in a couple weeks. We did like 300, but this is when the iTunes numbers were all crazy.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know if it's really 300, but
Right.
it was at that time for everybody.
Yeah.
He was like, it was 300,000. We were like, what the fuck? And then the rest is history.
So what's the first episode that really like you felt there was a difference in not only how you guys handled it in terms of like, hey, I'm a professional conversationalist,
Right.
but also in terms of the guest really sharing stuff that was like beyond what you normally would get?
I mean, I think the first one we released with Fat Joe was he talked about all the DMX stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think the interaction between 2 artists that kind of have history with each other, or even if they don't know each other, they kind of have a shared history, because they know the same people.
Yeah.
And then my aspects, I like to say I represent the DJs and the street team guys and the guys behind the scenes.
Yep.
To give my 2 cents and represent them. Even if I don't say anything, I represent them at the table.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. So I just think that dynamic brings out things that wouldn't normally come out in other podcasts for these artists. Now it seems that as time has gone by, there's so many podcasts now that artists are getting more comfortable with this, type of platform.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so they're talking a little bit more. They're more open, but there's nothing going to replace liquor in your system to really open you up, and that's what often happens as well.
Well, I mean, but then how do you feel like Smoke Champs is going to be different than Drink Champs?
Well, we're not sure yet about it being a podcast yet, which is an idea. The idea is to make it a podcast.
Just a lifestyle.
But right now it's going to be like products.
Got it.
Right.
What do you remember in particular about the DMX episode, the Puff episode, and the... I mean, there's been a bunch of Fat Joe episodes, so just like Fat Joe in general.
Fat Joe is hilarious. Like, I didn't expect him to be as funny. And he's like an open book, really.
Yeah.
He'll talk about, and he's so passionate about hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
That's super dope to see him talk about hip hop the way he does. DMX, there could be a movie script written about how that went down. Cause our boy Ali was kind of like was managing or is managing. I don't know if he still is, but he was managing DMX at the time. He was working with us, also managing us at the time, and we were like, "Yo, man, we need that DMX. We need to help take Drink Champs over the top." And he's like, "All right." And he's coming to Miami, and he was at this hotel, and we went to the hotel, and he said that X was down, and then we weren't sure X wasn't down. It was like weird, and then N.O.R.E and X started drinking a bottle of. I don't know if it was Remy to the head. And then we were like in a lobby and we were asking them to turn down the music in the lobby. And then we like set up and then the equipment didn't work. We had to update the laptop and we had to tell them stall for like an hour because the Wi-Fi was slow. It was just so crazy. And I'm like, this is never going to happen, man. And this guy's getting filthy drunk over here, like both of them. And then finally when he sits at the table, he took literally a bottle of whatever liquor that was. Like people think he was high on something else. It was literally he just took a bottle to the head.
Oh my God.
And then you see it. It's classic. Like he goes off into a prayer. I think he cried.
Yeah.
He says all kinds of crazy stuff and really deep stuff too. And it just that episode just took Drink Champs over the top.
And what about the Puff episode?
The first Puff.
Yeah.
There's two. There's one that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And the first one was that was crazy too. It was right when we were discussing or about to do the Revolt deal.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like in the room that business. And he came and he got wasted, man, and really wasted. And it was I don't know, he was fun.
Yeah.
More fun than I expected him to be. He was really loose with it and talked and having fun with it. And that's what I think makes a great guest, because if they come and they're like, standoffish to the situation, if they take it in, all right, man, which is a big party, there's all kinds of people around.
Sure.
They enjoy it. And he did. He enjoyed it. It was fun. And he ended up doing we called it the Jeffrey, where he took every liquor on the table and poured it into a chalice and made us all drink out of it. That's
mad. Molly juice.
It was Molly juice. Yeah. I think Molly saw that episode and patented it afterwards. And we just got crazy, man. It was a good episode.
Well, but how does it change you guys have had people who do not drink?
Yeah, we had Royce, who doesn't drink.
Right.
Yeah. We had a couple. Fat Joe really doesn't drink that much.
Right. Yeah.
So how does that change the dynamic for you?
It doesn't. I always tell them I think it's great that they don't drink for the audience. I'm not trying to be a pro-alcoholic podcast. And we'll do all the drinking for you.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll look stupid.
Yeah. Who's the biggest white whale that you have not gotten yet?
Kanye. It almost happened.
Really?
And
It almost
Kendrick
happened?
almost happened too.
Wow.
Yeah, which I'm a huge Kendrick fan. It was almost happened a year ago.
Was it scheduling or like what happened?
It was the label scheduling it, and it was him coming in for Rolling Loud when he was the headliner in Miami.
Yeah.
And they were trying to schedule it in from when he landed, and I already knew I was like, man, the label's the one handling it. It's not his direct management.
Right.
Something's probably gonna go wrong, and like he landed too late, and then he had to stage, and he was just gonna leave right after, so it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then Kanye, there's been like talks of it, even the thing that he did with Charlemagne, where Charlemagne went to like something like that happening.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened yet.
Are there any people outside of the hip hop like industry that have either reached out or that you've thought about?
I'm down to do anybody. I feel like everybody has a hip hop related story. And if they're worth talking to, if they have something to bring to the table, I'm open to talking to them. Like, I'll have fucking Bill Gates on the show if we could, that'd be amazing.
Legendary
Can
drinker.
you imagine if he starts busting out Wu-Tang lyrics? Yo, that shit would blow the internet up, like Bezos or something or whatever, those type of people. I mean, comedians have been some of our best guests.
Yeah.
Like Marlon Wayans was dope, Mike Epps was dope.
Yeah.
Like, we've had some of our best episodes have been with comedians.
Do you feel like the Drink Champs brand has bought your brand, the EFN brand, the Crazy Hood brand, somewhere that you never expected it to go?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I only dreamed to be a part of hip hop history, and we created a part of hip hop history.
Yeah.
But are you in the Podcasting Hall of Fame?
Definitely not. That only goes to Gamertag Radio. Shout out, Godfrey.
So
who did he pay for that? No,
yeah.
No, but
let's really
really
get into it. Yeah. So now you guys are established at, top of the charts. The videos are just sort of an extra level to it, like, because people enjoy it, obviously listening on the train or something like that, but they also, to see it while they're at work or something like that is a whole nother level. What do you want to do next with the Drink Champs brand?
Movie.
N.O.R.E's been on a movie tip from the beginning. He's been trying to sell like a Drink Champs comedy movie forever.
You are, for everyone out there, wearing a shirt that says Crazy Hood Film Academy.
But like to do like a Def Comedy Jam sort of thing, or
like he wants to do
Kings of Comedy.
Like some of his favorite movies are like something about Mary or soft. What is it?
Something about Mary takes place in Miami.
That is true.
What's that game? The ball where they're throwing balls at each other. Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Like that movie. Like he wants to do something in that vein. Drink Champs, like about the Drink Champs story, but it'd be a sketch comedy. I mean,
well, what's stopping that? You?
No.
Do you think it's a joke?
No, I just. I don't think anybody serious has taken it completely serious yet. But yeah, I mean, there's so many spin-off things we want to do. And N.O.R.E has his own. He has his own food show that he does.
Yep.
I have a documentary series that I do.
Right on, where you travel.
So we're both have all these other things we're trying to do. But I mean, I think sky's the limit with what we could do with Drink Champs. Literally, like there's so many things we could do.
Well, what I think is amazing about Drink Champs is that, and N.O.R.E says this pretty regularly on the show, is giving flowers while people are allowed to receive them, right? So that sort of has this tint of let's talk to veterans and OGs and people who have been around for a while. South Florida is now, and for the past maybe 5 years, become this very symbolic thing about the youth, right? You have the Smoke Perps and the
Denzel Curry.
All these young guys who are doing this very different sound. It's very SoundCloud and Miami-ish.
Right.
Do you ever want to wade into those younger waters?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that they would be able to A, drink with you guys,
right,
and B,
carry an episode?
Yeah, talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
In the same way, like ours, you have to have these stories that can drive a conversation where you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened.
Right.
Because sometimes you can have like a Guapdad 4000 who is like years beyond his actual age. Like he can talk forever, right?
Yeah,
he has a lot of personality.
But a lot of like the younger kids, it's like
they can't tell their own story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have these episodes that we call family episodes, where it's not really just about the guest that's there. It's kind of like a greater conversation, and that's where we feel we could have a lot of younger guests be a part of those things. And if they shine and they talk more, then that's cool. And if they don't, it's a family episode, and everybody can chime in, and it's no pressure on them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we want to do more of these younger artists. So definitely, yeah. And what I was thinking is that I still feel like we need to do a lot more of the veterans. Like I want to have Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel and Grandmaster Kaz and these guys. Like I feel like we need to get these guys. Like it's very important to have them on the record on Drink Champs.
Totally.
Yeah, I think like for us, there's been a lot of people who have passed away, and we're lucky to have those stories before they went away.
What do you think of Miami today?
That's a tough question, man.
Do you not think about it?
Yeah. I go back and forth about wanting to move out of Miami because I have a young daughter now. It's my first kid, and I've always like, I don't know if I want to raise my kid in this city.
How come?
It's just the city is just, it's Miami, man. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just,
well, you grew up there.
It's like it's Sin City. It's it's just it's everything that it's been made out to be. It really is that.
Yeah.
It really is that. Even the suburbs were created by the drug dealers in the in the 80s.
Right.
So that vibe is still there. So I mean, look, I love Miami. Every time I say, I want to leave, I leave, and then I'm like right now, I want to be back in Miami.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's garbage weather right now.
Yeah.
It's home at the end of the day, but yeah, the only thing I'd change about Miami is just, and I can't change it because it's just the nature of Miami. Miami is a transient city, and it's what causes it to constantly be changing. I wish there was more consistency in the city, because then we could actually cultivate and grow more homegrown things and have them be more successful. The reason why we don't have a lot of numbers of things that are homegrown is because it's so transient.
Yeah.
Every year there's a new flock of people from a different country, different state, different city, different cultures, which is what makes Miami dope also.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to make business happen, at least cultural, like art stuff, it's difficult.
Yeah.
And we had that like with Wynwood. You guys mentioned Wynwood.
Sure.
Yep.
Wynwood was a place that we used to go to as kids. It was the hood. It was like,
it was not the Arts District?
no, it was Return of the Living Bassheads. There was crackheads in there.
Right.
We used to go to Zulu jams, and the way that the Zulu jams were set up is it was on basketball court, and in the middle, they were the B-boys, and then they had the Zulu security all around the courts, basically pushing away the crackheads like they were zombies. And that was what Wynwood was. And then the reason why it became this art mecca is because all the graffiti writers felt that they could safely do pieces in there without the cops fucking with them because it was such a shithole. Now, look what it is. But what's happened is a lot of the artists that made Wynwood what it is, they got pushed out. And now these walls that they used to do for free now are worth millions of dollars. And it's some guy from Brazil and some guy from France and some guy from another place.
And it's white people touring these places.
It's no longer
taking
Miami.
pictures,
for
Instagram.
We used to be in there 24/7, and when we used to do block parties in Wynwood, but nobody wanted to be in Wynwood but us.
Right.
And now it's crazy to see what it is.
If not Miami, then where would you go?
It's a good question, man. I don't know. I want to go somewhere because the thing also about Florida, and we learned this managing Mayday as well, is that we're a peninsula and we're basically like on an island all the way down here. And to do anything, you have to go all the way up, and then you're in the rest of the country.
Right.
Yeah.
That affects business. And so I would love to be in a state that's more central where I can go to different places and, 1 hour this way, you're in another state, 1 hour this way, you're in a mountain, 1 hour this way, you're in a lake. I can't do that in Miami.
Yeah.
Half an hour I'm in the Everglades, the other half an hour in the Everglades, the other half an hour in the ocean.
What's your best Florida man story?
Florida man story?
Yeah.
What is that?
You know how like in like different headlines they'll say like Florida man on like bath salts, eat somebody's neck or
because all the weird stories come from Florida.
Yeah, man.
Every single one.
But we don't see them in real life. They're just like.
Is it because there's so many that you're just like, oh my god?
Yeah, I think this is a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really. Drain, anything that pops to you that we've seen?
Is he Florida man?
If anything, we have our own Florida man. Our boy Charlie, we call him Dragul. He got so drunk one night, he threw himself out the car on the highway. He opened the door and said, "You're out of here." And that should have been Florida man throwing himself out the car.
What's your best gunplay story?
Oh man, I want you to see it on the podcast. We just did a podcast and he's wild out.
Yeah.
But I mean, gunplay, everything is so ill about him, man. He's just such a great dude.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I was the first person to put him on a mixtape.
Wow.
And he always mentions it when he's around me, and so he's very loyal because of that. I think the dude is a great artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's too real.
Yeah.
To his detriment sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
I wish that he would like chill out a little bit so that he can really enjoy success.
Yeah.
But he's just a great dude, man, and there's nothing I can say the story because it's just all out there the way he is. I mean, we've seen the videos in Colombia.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he watched we did an episode with CeeLo and he jumps in on that episode.
Oh my God.
And I don't want to give it away because it's just so.
Was he invited?
I'm sure somebody. Yeah, okay, he's like welcome on the show.
Yeah.
He's from Miami. He can do whatever he wants.
Did you ever see the video of him at Six Flags?
No.
Oh, it's the greatest video ever.
What did he do at Six Flags?
It's gunplay on rides. Yeah, it's the greatest. He's having the best time in the world, and he's not, a 10-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, back to the movie thing. So when we first started out, we were doing sketches. And one of the first people that was on one of our sketches was N.O.R.E.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, N.O.R.E. came over to our old apartment. He was so excited to meet us that he came in ahead of time.
Nice.
Which, no artist is going to do.
Right.
But he showed up so early that he was like, let me not go up there yet. I'll stand downstairs and smoke cigarettes for like a half an hour. And then went up. And the whole idea behind that sketch was that he was a door-to-door reggaeton salesman. So he's got us at the door and he's like pitching us like all this stuff. And Capone is behind us stealing everything from our apartment, grabbing the TV off the wall and taking Tim's and all this
awesome.
stuff. Yeah. Great video.
But so the thing about N.O.R.E. is that he doesn't go by a script.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So like if you try and put a script in front of him, he'll say, yeah.
The more you try to do a script with him, the worse it's going to get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally like left field. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
But he's naturally funny, man.
Yeah,
he's so
the
funny.
best.
Yeah.
The best. Well, listen, EFN, I'm so glad that you came up here. I'm so glad you got to tell your story.
Thank you.
And unlike on your own podcast, Drink Champs, I'm glad that you were finally able to make some noise. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, man.
Thanks everyone for listening to this new episode of A Waste of Time with It's The Real. Jeff, if you want to find out more about us, I'm Eric, you're Jeff. Together, we are It's The Real, no apostrophe, no spaces. If people want to find out more about this podcast, it's called A Waste of Time with It's The Real. If people want to find out more about what's going on in this great career of ours, Jeff, where can they go?
You can always go to ItsTheReal.com, ItsTheReal.com. On our website, you can go sign up for our newsletter. It is free. It is great. Everybody who has signed up for it mostly has not unsubscribed from it.
That is a weird selling point.
I'm just saying,
everybody who has signed up for it has mostly not unsubscribed from it.
Okay, so there have been 1,020, I want to say, signups.
Yes.
3 people have unsubscribed.
Yes.
One of those 3 people resubscribed.
So hopefully 2 people can join so it makes you feel like we haven't lost anybody. We just need...
I've already moved past those 2 people.
Fine, for me.
Okay.
We just need...
I don't need just 2 people. I need everybody to sign up.
ItsTheReal.com is where you can sign up for the newsletter.
You can also find all of our merch there. Well, not all of our merch because we sold out of most of it.
Yeah.
But
we have some t-shirts left.
Yeah, we have some t-shirts left.
ItsTheReal.com/shop.
We got some new merch coming up. We got some wrenches that we're going to work on.
It's wrench time.
You can listen to all of our old episodes and all of our new ones if you go on any streaming platform and listen to our podcast. So wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, you can find 260 more episodes of it just like this. We're also on social media, at It's The Real on Twitter, at It's The Real on Instagram, at It's The Real on Facebook. Also, I was listening to the Premium Pete podcast today.
Yes, shout out to Pete.
Shout out to Pete, shout out to Joe LaPuma.
Yeah.
And at the end of Pete's episodes, he says, hey, if you are an advertiser, small company, large company, hit us up. Hit us up.
Go to our website. Go to ItsTheReal.com. Jeff, this is the part of the podcast where we like to shout our supporters out who do you want to big up?
I want to big up a few people that have been Instagram commenting on our page. I want to big up Blacksmith Music, Music Business Podcast, Della Yador, Caesar 1906, D Fresh Prince of Bellhaven, Mike Nice CT, Carl Ferguson Jr., Chris Street, You Gotta Love Pam, Smoking Aces 85, JCap 5, TaylorMade HVM from Detroit. I want to shout out Young Psych for Real, Niana Drake from LA, Arsonist, and J Omega from the Officially Street Podcast.
I want to big up you, Jeff, and our brother Dan. Happy birthday to you both. Wishing you the greatest year ahead. As always, guys, not for real, for real. We'll see you guys next week.
Guns out, guns out. All I see is